Yeah, thank you, Maria. Welcome back to the booth here. That's Paul Chian. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. Thank you so much for joining us for Standard, as it turns out. And as we mentioned, kind of interesting to see the deck choices from our two players. Reid Duke generally tends to stick right down the middle with the deck choice. You know, the value base, the one that gives him enough play to be able to handle a bunch of different matchups. That's a pretty typical choice from Reid. And Shi Tian Li on the other side, well, he'll bring some spicy brews, no doubt about it. He did this time too with this Omniscience deck.
Yeah, oftentimes, if there's not like a great aggressive deck available, oftentimes you'll see Shi Tian Li try to attack the metagame from a very unique angle. He's had a lot of success doing this in the past. And yeah, I mean, coming into this event, I don't think a lot of people had Omniscience decks on their radar coming in. So it'll be really, really interesting to see kind of how these two decks match up against each other.
All right, let's get into our game here. Lee on the bottom part of your screen. As we mentioned before, won a regional championship to earn the seat back here on the Pro Tour.
Yeah, do what you got to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he's the type of player that can turn a qualification into a multi-year run.
Yeah, absolutely.
With no doubt about it, a world-class Magic player.
Yeah.
But of course, he's facing another one of those across the table with Reid Duke.
Right, multiple top 8s to his name. And yeah, I mean, the way that this matchup that you're going to see play out is it's just basically a kind of a race situation, right? It's, can Reid Duke get enough of an aggressive start going here to basically kill Shi Tian Li before he gets that 1-2 punch of Planet and Kona, and then, of course, to get the Omniscience into play. Now, game one, Reid doesn't have access to a whole lot of counter magic. There's not a lot of ways to actually disrupt that combo. There's not a lot of instant speed ways to kill the Kona either before it actually triggers the survival. So I think that's kind of the theory behind why you would choose to play a deck like Simic Omniscience. It's like, if you don't have a lot of instant speed removal, and if you're slowing down your Izzet Prowess deck so that you're good in the mirror, that might give you just enough time to be able to find your combo.
And we see the slick shot show off get countered here.
Yeah, with a spell snare, very, very big.
Wow, that was nice there for Shi Tian Li. And Reid is going to start doing the dance here.
Yeah, the classic Storm Chaser's Talent Boomerang Basics combo.
And he even has the follow-up land to recast, so that gives him 2 threats with the Otters. They don't look like much now, but they can do a lot of damage. The show-off is the big hammer, but again, it didn't resolve. So
yeah, and I mean, there's just not a whole lot of ways to block it either. Now, Shi Tian Li does have the Omniscience in hand and Formidable Speaker now. So all he needs to do, run out the Formidable Speaker, go fetch out the Kona, and then has the tools to actually get the combo going next turn, because as you can see right in the middle there, that is a planet.
He named Survivor.
Yeah.
I think the speaker's an Elf Druid, but the way's clear anyway right now.
Right, as Reid is tapped out here, and especially after sideboard, it's going to be even more important, where Reid will actually have access to some counter magic to be able to counter the Kona. Yeah, just tough choice here on what to discard. You already have kind of the River region plus the Northwind Avatar. Northwind Avatar, of course, being very, very important here. And it's kind of one of those things, right? You're gonna go for the Kona. At that point, you don't really need the disruption anymore, right? You're just going for the combo. So all that you want in your hand are basically card draw spells, so that once you get Omniscience in play, you just dig through your deck to try to find what you need.
And you can see Lee setting up for next turn with the Cavern of Souls, and now getting rid of
so
something to go
does
grab
Reid even have something here? So he's got a Get Out here in his hand, but remember, Cavern of Souls is on Survivor, so you're not going to be able to use that as, you know, one of those Essence Scatter variants to be able to counter the creature. Burst Lightning, certainly not enough damage here to take care of the Kona either. And I don't really see Reid being able to put together 20 damage this turn. So, you know, if Shi Tian Li gets to untap next turn, play out that island, get the Kona. Did he get a Kona? I don't see the hand updated
he
here.
Did.
He did, okay. Presumably he did. Get the Kona, tap it to the land, get Omniscience in play, then you can just play out the Northwind Avatar. There's actually a second copy of Meringue River Region in the sideboard.
Right.
And that's the important thing. Once you find 2 copies of Meringue River Region, you can, once you have one in play and you play the other one, you can just continue bouncing each other. And if there's another permanent in play, you can cast that infinitely, right? You can cast that over and over again, which means you have access to your entire sideboard. Once you get that loop going, you can finish off your opponent by searching out a Terror of the Peaks. They're all dragons, and then you just kill your opponent that way.
This is looking pretty much over.
Yeah.
And you can see there's the Kona on the battlefield.
Here we go.
He's going to tap it, and boom, there's Omniscience on the battlefield.
Now,
and off to the races we go. Northwind Avatar hits.
Meringue in hand.
Reid just wants to make sure that A, the cards are present, and B, he understands
Right.
the loop.
And Reid absolutely understands. Oh, sure,
Changeling
sure.
Also becomes another
Right.
regent.
Over and over again, Terror of the Peaks burn you out.
Good game.
And that's going to be a good game. And game number 1 goes for Shi
Oh, man.
Tian Li. And that was impressive. That was
Yeah.
4 kill.
I mean, that's exactly kind of what you're signing up for here. You just hope that you have 1 or 2 pieces of well-timed interaction. In that case, it was the spell snare. And then just find what you need. Now, here's the big thing. When you see the Simic Omniscience that go off, you feel like the deck is completely unbeatable.
I'm kind of feeling that way now that you mentioned it, Paul.
But the reason why you just don't see it as often is the deck just loses to itself. Like, you just need to find a lot of pieces. Like, you need to get the lands. In certain matchups, you need to make sure you have the Cavern of Souls, right? It's
in this one.
Right, and it's just not the most consistent deck. You can draw too many Omnisciences. You can draw too many big things. And so that's kind of the drawback of playing something like this. But if you can piece together the perfect, 6 or 7 cards in your hand, absolutely this deck has a capability of beating anything.
Reid's going to do the dance once again that we see with Boomerang Basics. And it's going to be into the Flood Maw to kill 1 of the Otters there on end step for Shi Tian Li, and then he just plays a land and passes.
Right, it looks like a lot of lands maybe just have to fire out a flow state here. Okay.
Draw.
Boomer Basics, never mind. Just keep getting your prowess triggers online. Likely running out the Storm Chaser's Talon again. So that's 2 prowess triggers here for the Otter.
3.
Get her for 3. Now, if you take a look at Shi Tian Li's hand, well, he's got the Kona, he's got the Cavern of Souls, and he has a planet on the battlefield. But he does need to find Omniscience and 1 extra action spell to kind of get things going.
It's kind of a lot.
Right.
Yeah, you weren't kidding, Paul. That is a lot to set up.
Well, he found the Omniscience.
Oh, seriously?
So there's the Omniscience in hand. So now if you can find some card draw spells, a Northwind Avatar, something along those lines, that's what he's going to be looking for here.
So if he finds that next turn, we'll see a repeat.
Yeah, I mean, now he doesn't have all the cards this time around, so it'll be curious to see kind of what he goes for, right? Because he doesn't have the extra Meringue River region in hand, and he doesn't have the Northwind Avatar in hand either. So if he can find a Northwind Avatar, though, yes.
How many cards? 4.
Flow state here for Reid.
And this is flow state just to get 1 card, a sad state.
A sad flow state.
A sad flow state, but got to, need to fire it off. Try to play a bunch of spells here, get Shi Tian Li as low as possible, maybe find a counter spell, because right now, at least if you're from Reid's perspective, hey, I don't see a Cavern of Souls on the battlefield. Maybe I can find a Disdainful Stroke or a Get Out and use that to counter your Kona.
Okay, Reid's taking a look at the cards with flow state. He finds himself down a rather quick game. I should have mentioned as we came into the match, our players in this match are 3-1.
Right.
These are not undefeated players, but pretty close. Really nice start to a Pro Tour.
Absolutely.
2 at bottom.
Finds Spell Pierce, which could be relevant.
Like,
You're still
with
casting
Kona,
the
are
spell.
you casting it or putting it on
Well,
the
you're putting the
battlefield?
Omniscience on the battlefield,
Yeah.
but then are you casting the other spells for free?
Yes.
I believe so.
It says you can cast them from your hand
you could,
for free.
Right, so let's take a look here. Yeah, so if Shi Tian is tapped out, you're not going to be able to stop the Omniscience from entering the battlefield, but you will be able to counter a spell if he plays that off the Omniscience.
Pretty narrow.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
Shi Tian Li. Are you out of your mind?
If
He's going to literally just do the same thing. Now, he doesn't have the other region, but if the deck doesn't win from this spot, then what's the point?
I mean, if you could just Vampiric Tutor cards to the top of your deck, this is what this deck is capable of.
Wow.
All right, here we go, Northwind Avatar. What can we get? There's an Emeritus of Ideation. That's, of course, just an action spell.
Or another Northwind Avatar?
So actually doesn't have a second in the sideboard, so put one in the sideboard, it seems.
Okay.
Now he gets the Regent.
Bounce both of those, get the Omni Changeling.
Seriously?
Oh my gosh. This is gross.
This is unbelievable.
Oh gosh.
He was missing two combo pieces
he
and went
both.
one into the other.
It's like, you know what would be really nice, Marshall? Omniscience. You know what would be nice after that? A Northwind Avatar.
I mean, at least in the first game, he had to search something up.
Right.
This time it was just cold ripping.
Just off the top.
And there's nothing Reid can do.
No.
He just has to sit there and watch. This is rough.
Reid just going, I hope.
Is there a window for spell pierce that would break something?
Yeah, but
up?
then even if you did.
You got like 5 dragons
there's
on
there's 20 power on the battlefield. All right.
Like,
there's the Omni Changeling.
Shi Tian Li could go for back-to-back turn 4 wins in standard, by the way.
So just turn 4 kill both games?
Both
no
games.
problem.
Shi Tian Li, welcome back to the PT. It is nice to see you, my friend. And he's going to improve to 4-1 and hand Reid Duke just his second loss of the tournament so far. Wow.
I mean, that's one way to get it done. You know, we talk about kind of the power level of standard and how it's just risen over time in the recent years. And, you know, there's a lot of decks, you know, talk about the prowess decks where the average mana curve is 1.5. That's something that we've seen in old modern decks. Well, if you have a combo deck, I mean, this is kind of like doing the Splinter Twin thing, right? Turn 4, just kill you.
Just kill ya. Apparently that's the game plan.
I guess so.
Worked really well. Two turn 4 kills in a row. We're going to take a short break here from Las Vegas. When we come back, though, we have more magic waiting for you. Don't go anywhere. And welcome back to coverage here of Pro Tour Secrets of Strixhaven. Marshall Sutcliffe with Paul Chion, and we are in Las Vegas, Nevada here at the MagicCon, by the way. So much going on this weekend. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Big tournament side events, artists, lots of stuff going on the stage. Like, whatever way you like to enjoy this game, you will find it here at MagicCon. And if you happen to love high-level competitive play, you're home, baby. You came to the right place. This is where you want to go. The Pro Tour, the best of the best, have qualified to make it in here, and we get a chance to watch. A lot of them have qualified, by the way, via regional championship, including one of our next competitors here, Will Krueger, qualified just that way, which means you could be here, find yourself at a regional championship, win the thing, and on you go. Mark Tubola on the other side. Ooh, Silverquill versus Witherbloom from a conceptual standpoint. As it actually plays out in standard, though, is it prowess versus, let's just keep it simple, Paul, mono green landfall.
Yeah, and these are kind of the two most popular decks kind of coming into this event. There's lots of different Izzet variants, but of course the prowess deck is kind of the deck of choice for most people. Will Krueger actually on Team TCG player, so playing basically the exact same 75 cards that we just saw Reid Duke fall at the hands of Shi Tian Li. So solid choice, of course, coming into this event. This is just the classic matchup. Very, very close. Slickshot Show-Off from Will Krueger's side is going to be one of the most important cards in the matchup, as the mono-green landfall decks typically don't have a lot of ways to block things that go into the sky.
That's right. So we saw Reid Duke sit down and realize, okay, I'm up against a combo deck, and then get promptly comboed out.
Right.
Twice in a row. What is Will thinking when he sits down and realizes my opponent's on mono green landfall.
Yeah, so this is a very, very different type of situation where, I mean, the thing is, you're playing against an opponent that actually has cheap creatures that you can interact with, and you do have like the Boomerang Basics and other removal effects. And you know, the mono green decks, frankly, just doesn't have access to a lot of removal. So like I mentioned before, you want to just make sure that you develop a quick board and make it so that the mono green landfall doesn't actually get to its late game. Because once it does, you know, it's going to have 7 or 8 lands in play. You're going to get a bunch of triggers off of your Might Form Harmonizers, Ice-Tail Explorers. You basically want to control the board and finish the game off fairly quickly with your prowess creatures before the mono green landfall deck gets established.
You see the Keen-Eyed Curator there on turn 2.
Yeah, just a nice, large creature here, and you know, eating the graveyard, very, very relevant in Standard as well.
And it gets much bigger.
Yeah, especially because a lot of the prowess decks these days, you know, previously there was the elusive otter version where you're basically just playing a bunch of cheap, efficient prowess creatures with a bunch of cheap spells and trying to win. But in an effort to kind of go over the top of maybe each other and maybe have a slightly more robust late game, decks have been adding cards like the Eddie Merc Crab into their main deck. Well, what better way to kind of slow that down than play a very efficient main deck creature that can kind of eat cards out of your opponent's graveyard?
Makes a lot of sense. And a great finisher, too.
Yeah, if you can get to the 4 different cards and it just randomly becomes a 7/7 Trampler.
Right. Which, by the way, is why it earned a seer here for Will. He's not going to wait around for it. You see the Badger will come on the battlefield as well.
Yeah, and we are coming in here after sideboard, as Seer is a card in Will's sideboard.
Yeah, great call, Paul. This is game number 2, with Will having won game 1 as we come into the match.
You have 5 cards in hand?
5, yes.
Good. I have 6.
Oh. You hear that? How many cards you got? 5. Oh, yeah, well,
Just
that's
so
6.
you know,
yeah.
I have 6.
Yeah, Will. One-upping.
Right. Yeah, Will, actually, I was at the regional championship where he won and started out 1-2 and then rattled off 14 matches in a row to win the entire thing. No losses.
14 in a row?
Yeah. He made that Is It Lessons deck look unstoppable at the event.
That's incredible.
All right, Ice-Tail Explorer hits the battlefield here, and there is a land in the graveyard.
Is there a land? Yeah, there's already one in the yard, too. Oh,
looks like
beautiful.
Yep, you mill one.
I think that's a Fabled Passage. So shiny. All right.
Then I fetch.
Yeah, that's one of those old border ones.
You've already played lands. It says you're done with lands, right?
Yes, because he played land
No.
number 4 and
Oh,
played
no,
Ice-Tail
you're right.
Explorer.
I'm wrong. I'm wrong.
Wait, no,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
never
yeah.
mind.
He
I'm
has
sorry.
only done
I got
one land
confused.
drop
You got
so
the
far, and he
one
gets an
extra from
addition.
Badger Ball is what I missed.
Okay, okay. Got it. Yeah, and as you can see there, Paw Patch formation getting milled into the graveyard. A nod to Slick Shot Show Off, right, as a way to kill flyers.
Yep. Did you see it?
No.
Okay.
Mark accidentally grabbed 2 cards there, and Will was just making sure that he didn't actually see whatever that next card was.
Got it.
But they got milled anyway.
Right.
It was Sirach, it looks like.
Yeah, and this is where it gets kind of rough here if you're on the Is It Prowess side. If you don't have that prowess creature and you don't have a way to kill this Ice-Tail Explorer, that is just such a powerful source of card advantage that's very, very tough to deal with.
Yeah, and Mark's deck can do stuff with all this extra mana.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean,
say a bunch of stuff like
absolutely. And then if you just get a bunch of these lands that fetch, and then you have other cards that care about various landfall effects, that's also very, very strong.
Sorry, what were you exiling?
Yeah. I think sorcery.
So in response to an exile on the Keen-Eyed Curator, Will Krueger needs to fire off that Eddie Merc Crab, otherwise he won't be able to cast it at all here.
That forced the issue. But it will enter the battlefield tapped as a result of the timing there.
Yep.
And that means he's
more
going to take the beating.
Okay.
So that was your first line this turn?
Yep.
Okay.
And there is a Might Form Harmonizer at the very least here from Mark in hand. And there's also an Earthbender Ascension that he can fire off here. Nice little, of course, combination with the sacrifice lands, as you can put the counters onto the land, sacrifice, get a land, and then the land comes back again because they are Earth Bent.
Yep.
Spent.
Did we ever come to a
No.
conclusion with that?
No,
Earth Bended?
there's a few different schools
Earth
of
Bent?
thought.
Okay.
Earth bended.
So some more
Chat will let us know.
instant.
Oh, they'll let us know.
Can you put it here?
Yeah, that's fine.
so
Yeah, yeah.
that
Yeah,
everyone-
need to keep
Yep.
track here of the different card types exiled.
So far,
Yep.
we've got instant and sorcery, it looks
So you
like.
got to pay one for that,
And
right?
we'll add to creature.
Yeah.
You did? Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
yeah, chat.
Okay.
Exiling an enchantment out of his own graveyard too.
Yeah, that's going to get
That's the
the
full
curator
4, right?
up to 7/7
Yeah.
and bring it out of any reasonable
Sunderflock.
burn spell range at least.
Ooh, but
Oh, but not Sunderflock.
there you go. Sunderflock out of the sideboard here.
Wow.
So
That's nice.
That's a big board. So does Mark have an answer for that big flyer here?
Yep.
Second main phase? No, not yet. You have how many cards? 5?
Will says, I'm not quite done yet.
All right.
He's going to plot.
A slick shot show off. So that's
There you go.
2 flyers coming in. So Mark
aren't
able to get a
plotters,
lot of
they're
lands in play, but no threats. And I
Thanks.
mean, that's Sunderflock doing a lot of work. Just one of the best cards against basically any deck that has Badgermole Cub in it.
Yeah, didn't even get one with this and still doing great.
Right?
Now Mark is forced to spend a turn to reestablish his board presence.
Get Earthbender Ascension online. Put counters on the Fabled Passage and go fetch
Yeah,
out
yeah.
a forest.
Understood.
So many. Cards.
3 cards.
Mark does have the Ice-Tail Explorer, I believe, and it's a little bit difficult to tell, but if he does have another sacrifice land in the graveyard, that might be a second Fabled Passage. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot to get that Earthbender Ascension to start giving counters onto your creatures. All you
Yeah.
need are 4 counters.
So is Will's plan here just to try to tempo him out? I mean, he's got him down to 15.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely is. So, I mean, I don't think Mark has the tools to win the game this turn, but with all the extra lands he's going to have here, if he can kind of keep that Ice-Tail Explorer around, and I did mention he does have that the Harmonizer in hand. I mean, next turn, especially with that fully loaded Earthbender Ascension, you can just kind of kill your opponent out of nowhere. Right, I mean, we kind of we've seen this in the previous Pro Tour with the Teamer Harmonizer combo. Well, you don't need to really go too crazy as long as you just Ice-Tail Explorer plus Harmonizer. Then you just play lands.
Right.
That's basically the combo.
Yeah, normally you don't think of a mono green deck as being able to kill somebody out of nowhere, but
No,
Harmonizer unlocks that.
Yeah.
Can you shuffle, please?
Yeah, and I will say, the one thing, if you ever do decide to play the mono green landfall deck
No one? Yeah,
in
no
any
one.
tournament, you need to be completely dialed in on all of the triggers
Yeah,
because
not
this
to go
deck
last
has
lands.
tons
Yes.
of them.
Okay.
That's correct. So it's 4.
Yep.
Speaking
No.
of,
Landfall triggers,
Yeah.
Earthbend triggers, you're searching.
What is this?
Saz's Chocobo gets milled.
All right,
Suck
Fabled
again.
Pass.
Okay.
Oh, it doesn't tell me. Yeah.
All right,
Just
so
say
another Fabled Passage. So another land trigger here. So
Yep, so you
another
mill
+1/+1 counter from the Ascension, and then of course another mill from the Ice-Tail Explorer, and looking to pump
understood.
the Ice-Tail Explorer.
And what?
I'll mill 1.
No one.
Mark just trying to get his Ice-Tail Explorer out of burn range.
Another Curator gets milled, but
going
he's
up.
got
Okay.
another in his hand just to play, and he's
And
going
then
to pass
can
the turn
attack.
back.
Okay, well that was a very impressive turn. I mean, Mark has
Huge.
10 lands in play,
He's so far ahead on mana.
but there's 6 damage in the air coming in, and we have a slick shot show off on the battlefield. So if Will can string together enough spells, it's possible he can take it down this turn.
Oh, absolutely.
This is already 8 damage coming in from this opt. Burst Lightning would be huge.
There's
Sleight of
10.
hand. So now we're at 10. Mark's at 15. Instantly gets a
That
spell.
was quick.
See an annul. Oh, there's an impractical joke. So that's another spell.
Practical joke this trigger.
So that's 11 damage coming in.
Sure. Sure.
Combat.
Yep.
11 in the air.
Dead.
Oh,
And
that's
there's
15.
that burst lightning that you mentioned, and that's enough for lethal.
That's exactly lethal.
And that's going to
Wow.
do it. Will Krueger picks up the match
Yeah, 15.
Two
I
games
practiced
to
this under
0.
block. Yeah.
and improves to 4-1 with Is It.
Yeah, it feels like you just put steam vents in Will's deck and he's just going to do just fine. Doesn't matter what iteration of the Is It decks here, but a really, really nice showing there. And I mentioned it previously. You know, these flyers are a really, really big problem for the mono green landfall decks. I think, Will's opponent was probably one turn away from being able to kind of win the game on that turn. So I think Will, recognizing that, firing off those card draw spells, trying to close out that game that turn, and found the exact sequence of spells he needed to deal exactly lethal there.
Yeah, cheap spells and one of them that does damage, and that was the equation. We've got even more Magic to bring you this round. And in the feature match area, we have Ma Noah, who, by the way, also got here via regional championship. So I don't know. You seen a trend here, Paul? Maybe you should be playing in these RCs.
I suppose so. Manoa also part of Team TCG player here, but playing an outlier deck. Most of the team choosing to play the Is It Prowess deck, playing Selesnya Ouroboros. One of two players on that team playing it, the other one being Matt Nass.
Oh, there you go. And then, of course, across from the table is Amy James on Is It Lessons, lining up with her Strixhaven school as well, by the way, just all the way through. Take a look at Manoa there.
And Manoa sticking to kind of what works, because he did win a regional championship playing a Simic Rhythm deck. So he goes, well, I mean, I did really well with this deck. Badger Mole Cup still very strong. Llanowar Elf still very strong, but with a slightly different twist by adding white cards to the deck that allows you to play cards like 4 copies of Sage of the Skies, which is very, very effective against various Is It decks.
Now, both of our featured players here have a 2-2 record, so they're kind of in the get your feet under you, try to make a run at this thing vibe, rather than looking at your record and trying to figure out what top 8's starting to look like. If you can 3-0 tomorrow or whatever. This is am I going to get to play tomorrow?
Already.
Right. Manoa here, up a game, haven't seen this card that often these days. Paw Patch Recruit, turn 1. Ooh, and Amy's got, I don't know if it was in the main deck, but a fun card out of the sideboard. 2 copies of Emeritus of Ideation for this matchup. I've played against this card plenty in Limited, and let me tell you, that thing resolves. It's just sad times all around.
Absolutely. Maybe not all around.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Good times for Amy.
Yeah.
Sad times for Ma.
Yeah.
So lots of options here for Ma. I think I do see a Rest in Peace in Ma's hand, so could consider that. Really, really powerful card in this matchup. Oh, but instead chooses to take the more proactive approach. Plays out a Keen-Eye Curator, but that runs into a Flash Freeze.
Yikes. That's rough.
Yeah, because, I mean, we don't know if Amy had a different type of counterspell there, but yeah, that's kind of one of those, what do I think my opponent's going to do here? And just kind of ran into the wrong card. Looks like Badger Mole Cub here.
I'll respond to the trigger.
Oh,
Amy's got a response.
so now the Abandoned Air Temple is simply a 1/1 and will not tap for 2 mana. So Yeah, this is just a
Like-
nice start here for Amy and the Lessons deck. We've seen this time and time again. Kill all your things, fuel back up with an Accumulate Wisdom.
17.
Go ahead. How many cards? 4?
3.
Currently 3 might be
Yeah.
a better answer.
Might be more. Of course, Flash
Subject to change.
Right. Of course, Flash Freeze is not a lesson here.
Take 1.
Right.
So going to need to find at least one more.
2 card?
2 cards.
Ma has an Ouroboros in hand and a Bright Glass Gearhulk. Kind of the main reason to choose to play the white variant of this deck instead of the more typical Simic Cub decks that we've been seeing.
I'll respond.
Ooh. Rest in
Accumulate wisdom
peace.
just for anticipate.
Just for Anticipate, which is just taking 1 card. Possibly looking for a counter, maybe like an Annul, if she had that in the sideboard.
That happens.
All right, so now the graveyard's been exiled, and that is very, very annoying. If you're looking at, you're from the Lessons deck. The whole idea with this deck is you want to fill up your graveyard with a bunch of Lessons, and they kind of synergize very, very well together. However, if you are prepared for something like that, that's where the sideboard comes in, right? That's why Amy brought in cards like the Emeritus of Ideation. If you're going to take out, right, there it is. If you're going to attack my graveyard, then I'm going to still find other ways to get ahead on cards. This card is fantastic.
And you know how it is. You can't do everything.
Right?
Right? You can say, all right, I'm going to bring in, you know, one of the best graveyard hate cards ever printed with Rest in Peace.
Right.
But it doesn't do anything else. And it is hard for the reactive player, in this case, Manoa, to figure out, I need to have a balance.
Right.
You still need threats. You still have to get the game over.
Yeah, and
You
Ma,
still want some answers outside of this graveyard stuff.
yeah, and Ma has 3 copies of Erode in the sideboard, but I don't think I see one in hand. I see an Ouroboros and a Bright Glass Gearhulk and a couple of lands.
Maybe it's just time for Ouroboros and start going big.
Yeah, or you can go Bright Glass Gearhulk and then just fetch maybe a 1-mana card and play that. Now, you do have option. You can get a Seam Rip, for example, so you could use that to go get the Gran, right? That's on the battlefield if you
Okay.
do have an extra white source. And I do see that Abandoned Air Temple in hand, so that might be Manoa's best option here. Of course, the alternate that you outlined is, of course, just running out the Ouroboros and hoping just the counters get me there.
The earlier you can get the Ouroboros going, it does snowball very quickly.
Right, and it's just, I hope after you Ancestral Recall, you just do nothing. Yeah, and that's what Ma's going for. He's like, all right, you're going to draw 4 cards here. I hope you just don't find a way to deal with this Ouroboros.
Good luck. One thing Ancestral Recall is good at is finding stuff. And look at this, Ancestral Recall on the stack.
There it is.
Oh, we lived the dream, Paul.
Okay. Did we find something, though? Remember, cards like Combustion Technique don't work anymore because of that Rest in Peace.
15.
Yeah.
I see a Slag Storm. I see an Idle Quencha. I don't know that I see an answer here.
Trigger.
Yep.
Okay, keep digging, attacking, and then if you're on Ma's side, you go, you can block, but probably not going to be looking to block with the Ouroboros.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, do you really want to make the Ouroboros susceptible to some kind of removal effect? A 3 damage effect, rather?
Burn, yeah.
Right? Okay, so blocks the Gran, takes 5. Did Amy find something off the loot?
Any answers for Ouroboros?
Tapping 2 mana here, I don't see a great 2 mana option.
I mean, that is the type of card that Amy's got so many cards, like use 2 of them. You know,
Right.
any way to get it from
if I
getting
can,
out of control.
Right, if I can just find 2 firebending techniques here.
Go.
Nope. Okay.
Wow.
All right.
I have 16 to 15.
Artist talent hits the battlefield and goes, says Amy.
Oh, I apologize. I have 16 to 10. Thank you.
Ooh. All right. So Ma also found a Paw Patch Recruit. which is something that he can play out as well. Of course, if you have a bunch of creatures that you want to play out, have to play it out before you get to your combat step. Amy James is holding an Ilquencha in hand, so just need to be mindful of that and try to play around that too. Also, Ma's at 10 life. I mean, 2 hits from the Emeritus does kill you as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to make Noah go, all right, let's...
Yeah.
No more setting up. Like, it's how many things can I get on the battlefield and how quickly?
Right. Now the question is also, because I think Ma might have a shock land in hand. And then if you do, you go, is there a difference between being at 10 or 8 if I'm just going to die to 2 hits from the Emeritus?
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. One big card, of course, would be a Monument to Endurance, right? If Amy goes Monument to Endurance, hit you for 5, play a spell, that would be lethal.
That's lethal. But that is an untapped shock land.
All right, going for it here, Ma. I mean, you can just go get the Seam Rapier.
Oh, it's going to get a null,
it is
though.
an artifact.
It's an artifact.
That is big.
Wow, what a tempo play for Amy.
Yeah, and just running out the pop patch here.
Just to pick up the counter.
All right, time to put 2 +1/+1 counters on all of your creatures. So this is an attack for 8 coming in. Amy down to 8.
This is 8 damage.
Can
Wow, this is
All
close.
Right. Yeah.
4.
Ah, yeah. Hey.
8 damage coming
I'll go to
in.
8.
And remember, there's another abandoned air temple in play
Yes.
mixed in with the land, so that's more triggers. So what can Amy find
Storm,
here?
3 to each player.
3 to each player, of course, has the
3
Slag
to each
Storm.
player and 5 in the air is Exacxes.
So the Temple Garden actually
Yes.
made it so Ma Noah died on that turn.
That was the difference. And that's going to force a game 3 here. Let's see how this one plays out. Wow, so close.
Very, very close.
Table Charlie, start game 3.
Looks like Amy took a mulligan.
Yep, on 6.
And Ma with the classic. Turn to Badger Mole Cub here. Certainly going to fire that off here. All right.
Go ahead.
Gets the old thumbs up. Please don't kill it. Please don't kill it. That's what Ma's thinking. No red sources here from Amy.
Interesting. That means
So
that
this is a big turn, and we've seen
green light.
These decks can kind of snowball out of control here, especially with an unchecked Badger Mole Cub. Oh, wow. That's a Seam Rip into a Sage of the Skies, I think.
Is that what's happening here?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes. He's got it here. So, I mean, look at the amount of pressure that Ma
Holy
has. This is turn 3,
smokes.
by the way, right? Turn 3, kill your creature and put 2/2/3 lifelinkers
And
onto
bash
the
for
battlefield.
2.
And get in for 2, right? And Amy,
Holy
with
smoke.
2 islands in play, can't even play a Slagstorm next turn.
Wow, is this one falling away from Amy James? A quick, blistering start
Okay.
for Manoa.
Steam Vents might be too little too late here. Still need to get that Badger Mole Cub off the battlefield.
Firebend and Lessing does just that. Amy passes the turn back.
And Ma has an Ouroboros in hand.
Really? Just windmill that now?
And I see a Keen-Eye Curator in hand as well. So that would be the other consideration. If you want to play around Ilquencha, then you can play Abandoned Air Temple and run out the Keen-Eye Curator instead. But he just goes for it here.
And there it is, Ouroboros.
Oh, you heard that sigh. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, that
Not
resolves.
that one.
Yeah.
And then everything gets a +1/+1 counter.
Yeah. this
Although
is
the
good.
land should also get a +1/+1 counter.
Right, it should. It looks like Ma may have missed that one. Okay, Iroh's demonstration gets.
All right, hey, that's
battlefield.
important. That's a big step.
Yeah, but missing that one counter on the
Yeah.
land is pretty big here. But Ma Noah still sizable lead here, and now the
I didn't put
Sage
on
of the Skies
trigger.
are not. You
No,
can't.
he just remembered.
Oh,
Sorry? Ouroboros.
We resolved the Ouroboros trigger, but we forgot to put counters
Yeah.
on this creature.
So, can I have the Uruguay?
Yep.
Looks like they may have a chat with the judge
right.
to
We
sort
correctly
out.
put counters on all other
Yeah,
creatures
so
except.
it's not a miss trigger
It's
because it's not trigger. This is resolving the spell.
Yep.
This you have resolved the trigger, but wrongly because you place counter here, counter
Yeah.
here, and forgot to put on this one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
After that, you attacked, and you played. Yeah,
He attacked, I untapped, drew my card, played this, and passed the turn.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
so,
fine.
They may
so I have two options here.
rewind.
One is to leave the game stage as it is, or go back to the point of the error, which would be going back to their turn on the previous when resolving the ability. So you drew,
That
you cast
wouldn't
this.
change anything,
I drew, I
probably,
cast
right?
that.
Like,
Yeah.
there's
That's
no
4
way
damage
Amy's
to
not going to kill
Ouroboros.
I
Ouroboros.
think the exact same thing would have happened,
I don't
and we would
believe
just
this
go
having a
back to the
counter would
spot
have
where it
affected
get
my
it.
play in
Dude,
any
just
way.
have a
Yeah.
And Amy's being completely honest here,
I'm
which
gonna
is great.
confirm that I can do a win here.
That's very forthcoming.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
absolutely.
worries. This is like so minor.
Right.
Let production know.
Yeah, you know, that happens every once in a while with
course.
Ouroboros because it's down in the lands pile.
Yeah, it's just a force of habit. If you put counters on your lands, you still want to put it with your land pile because it taps for mana, but then you forget, of course, the counter on.
I make so many mistakes.
I mean, I'm about to get run over anyways, so I don't think it matters all that much.
Yeah, I think
Amy is doing a better job than we are of describing the sports
This is
state.
brutal,
perhaps.
geez.
it was like
That is
yeah,
very
So you
rough.
guys were aboard. Who knew?
right.
Y'all did, apparently.
It is funny because Amy said y'all did,
No,
but
you're all
you
right.
said Noah Ma is one of the only people running the deck on the team.
I make all
Right,
these
right,
ahead of
yes,
the show,
it's-
and when the deck
it's
lists
Noah
get due, I
and,
do one
and
last
Matt
check
Nass.
before I get
And Matt
one.
Nass.
Right.
This was
Oh, nice. Nicely done, yeah.
one of the, oh crap, people are playing this card a lot.
Yeah. I thought I'd see it more in Momo, but I guess looks pretty good out of this deck.
So there's a judge call here, and the judge has to decide the best course of action after talking to the players and understanding the board of A, sorry, it's too late, we
Right.
move forward, or if reasonable, if it can be done in a reasonable fashion, they are allowed to
I'd
rewind
like
the
to ask
board,
you.
the game stage.
So if we go back to the point of the error, we put the counter that is missing. Will you do the same plays as you've done after that?
I would not have changed my plays, no.
Okay. You neither?
You can put the counter back
You
on.
will keep your plays the same as before?
Yeah.
If we
You
because we
mean
can shortcut.
If you had had a counter on this from the Aura board, would you have done the same things
And the answer
that
is
you did
absolutely.
in reality?
Yeah.
So, actually, I can understand.
This is rough because
Sorry.
Mono, of
What-
course,
what-
from
what
South
language is
Korea.
this?
Right.
And this is
Korea.
some
Do-
complex
do you have any
rulings
Korean?
going on here.
No, this time no.
So the thing is that if we go back
Go back.
to the point of the error and we continue playing, will you do the same decisions?
Same fashion. I just hand and put counter and attack.
Yes. Will you do the same?
Yes, it's same play. You get
Same
attack.
play. Okay. So we can shortcut and do
Yes,
this.
Yep.
that works.
Yep,
If
great.
both of you are okay with this.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
If
This
attack,
is what the board state was
Yeah.
supposed to be.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy.
And you play this.
Yes, and
And-
then we go to your turn. Yes,
Yes.
I agree.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, totally fine.
So I'm gonna give you a game rule violation
Yep.
and a failure to maintain game state. Both of them are warnings. The failure to maintain game state doesn't get upgraded.
Understood.
I can understand, but one warning.
One warning.
Okay.
Yeah.
No
Be
warning
careful.
today. No warning today.
And Mano knows how it works as well.
Right.
You're allowed to get a failure to
Or-
maintain the game state
Yeah.
warning with
Yes.
no penalty.
Right.
If you get another one,
Right.
now we're talking maybe a penalty. So-
Exactly.
And he was saying, that's my first one
Yeah.
of today.
Just good to get it all sorted out there.
Yeah, really good. And I have to stay very upstanding from Amy. You know, you're also allowed to just say,
Right.
it's up to you, Judge, you figure it out.
Yeah. No.
You know,
and-
there's
and-
nothing wrong with that either.
Oh no, Amy
But
just
Amy was
showing.
very, very straightforward about
fantastic
saying,
sportsmanship
you know, this is
there.
what I would have done.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's always a great thing to see. Even there's a lot on the line here, right? It's really
You're in the
easy
feature
to,
match with the PT.
Right.
This
But
is
there's
not
a-
easy. Like, people think that this feels like when you're playing at F&M, and it does not.
No.
There are a lot of lights, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of cameras, and you're very aware that a lot of people are watching.
Absolutely.
All right, well, picking up the action here. Manoa looks to be in a position to kind of just close this thing out. I mean, Amy stemmed the bleeding by getting rid of Ouroboros, the one window turn
Right.
while she had it, but she's still facing a heck of a lot of power and toughness.
Yeah. So Keen-Eye Curator has resolved. So now we can eat cards out of the graveyard. Amy's down to 4 life.
6, yeah. It just
Yeah.
does not feel like there's really any way forward here, especially with just the one red source and a bunch of 4 toughness creatures.
Again, Slagstorm not working here.
Right.
Yep.
Bandit attachments to try to get something rolling, but it's just a mana situation at this point for Amy.
Yeah, there's 3 lessons in the graveyard for Accumulate Wisdom, but of course Manoa can break that up because he's got the Keen-Eye Curator on the battlefield.
Okay.
Oh, and just does it right away. He's like, you know what, I don't even want to think about this.
Right.
I'm going to get your lessons.
Not doing anything else, and I think this is just going to be the last turn. What could Amy even do?
Not much that I can think of, unless there's.
I mean, any 2 of these creatures are lethal.
Well,
right?
we play a lot of draft.
Yeah.
If Amy somehow goes mountain splatter technique, you know what I mean? I'm trying to.
That would be sweet. But yeah, I mean, really, any 2 of these creatures are lethal, right? So you'd have to kill 3 of them. And that's going to do it. Manoa picks up the match, 2-1 over Amy James, and improves to 3-2. So Manoa still has a lot of work to do if he's going to put together a run. Even for just day 2, you know, needs to pick up another win. And if he's going to try to make a run into day 2, he's going to have to really start winning here.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I mean, going back to the last event, the last Pro Tour that we had in Richmond, the various Badger Mold Cub decks had a huge target on its head. Everybody wanted to beat that deck. Going into this event, however, things have changed, right? The metagame has changed significantly. Everybody's going after the Is It Prowess deck. Perhaps people are slightly less prepared. Maybe we can see a return of the dominance of the Cub decks. We'll see. Ma, at least with a really nice start.
That's right. Good start there for Ma. Let's take a look at even more Magic. We are still not finished. You see January Adams on the left-hand side of your screen versus Xiangjun Dai on the right. Is It Prowess versus Is It Spelementals? When somebody says I'm playing Is It, they are really not done with the sentence yet. There's a lot more to know.
Right. Yeah, I think somebody broke it down. If you just combine all the Is It decks into one bucket, it's kind of half the field. But of course they have a lot of, they have very different approaches to how they want to actually close out.
They really are quite different. Yeah, these are not subtle differences between Prowess Lessons and Spelementals. Perhaps a little bit of overlap, but that's about it.
Okay, that's well.
And Dai up a game here. Interesting though, I feel like one card, that the Is It Spelementals deck used to have that allowed you to kind of perhaps go over the top of some of the Is It Prowess variants was maybe something like a Sunderflock. But now the Is It Prowess decks have gone, well, that card's pretty good actually.
What is that over there?
What's that? Maybe I'll play it too. And of course that's an elemental, so you can't actually bounce the Eddie Mer Crabs.
And we saw that in this very round, in fact. Land number 2 here for January Adams. January qualified also via regional championship. This one was in Vancouver, Canada, where she finished 2nd place.
Yeah,
qualify.
And both players playing in their first Pro Tour.
January's a fellow Quandrix mage. And she said, as a math major, the choice was easy. I love the beauty of patterns, mathematics, and logical foundations of the world around us. Very well put, January. Maybe have a little room for some English major in there, too. That's a nice way to put that.
I think when everybody saw the card Mathemagics and just couldn't wrap their minds around it, January was like, you simpletons.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I love Quandrix, but was one of the simpletons. So it's
Same.
a rough spot to be in, Paul. You see the Ghost Vacuum here for Dai.
Yeah, very, very effective card at controlling the graveyard as a way to kind of slow down the Eddie Merc Crab. Also, these Spelementals decks play 4 copies of Winter Night Stories, so that's a nice card to take as well if you can.
So, first ID.
Untap and draw.
Vacuum starts chipping away at the graveyard here from January.
Go.
In January, will be kind of taking on the role of the control player in this matchup. Dai with a lot of lands in hand. Do see a broadside barrage, likely out of the sideboard here. Really, really nice at killing the various 5/5 creatures that exist.
Come back.
Yeah.
See a flow state.
And untap.
Looks to not fire it off. Really wants to try to get that broadside barrage resolved first, right? Get that instant into the graveyard so that you can get 2 cards out of the flow state.
Bin for Charge Elemental. Draw.
And turn, I will exile Prismatic Charm.
Yeah, Dai
He's
just
going to keep chipping away with that
Yeah.
Ghost Vacuum.
Yeah, you just got to
sorry,
keep
did I
hitting
draw?
those spells. It's a little bit slow, but still gets the job done as long as January doesn't run out
you
of
mean to
creature.
draw? Oh, okay, okay. Go ahead, draw.
So yeah,
I
I don't think
yeah.
I drew up.
Oh,
my
okay,
Prismari
okay.
No,
Yeah,
Okay,
not
so I'll
yet.
draw off the charm.
Sorry, I saw you mean upkeep draw.
No, yeah.
So it's still January.
I'm still
Dai's
thinking,
end
right?
step.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If she's got like an opt or something, she can run that out.
I'll cast an opt.
Oh, there you go.
Also got it.
Thinking.
Yeah.
This is the
I
spring.
do. I am an opt enjoyer, so. So I mean, despite that active Ghost Vacuum, we're still looking at
I'll bottom
at least
and
3
draw.
spells in the graveyard.
Untap and drop a turn.
Of course, Dai wants January to actually fire off a 4/5 or 5 toughness creature if possible. He's going to be happy about this Hearth Elemental because then he can fire off that broadside barrage to get it into the graveyard.
Enter.
There it is.
Now, does January have a spell pierce or something to
That happens.
break it up?
Deals 5, and
Negative.
I draw and discard. This is draw and discard, right? Yeah, it's draw and discard.
Yeah, it's a blue and red card. Red cards normally discard first. Blue cards normally draw first. This is the good version where you get to draw first
Yeah, looting over rummaging.
all day.
But you'll take what you can get.
Yeah. And now Dai probably is going to fire off the flow state here. Doesn't have enough to run out the crab, I believe, that he's got in his hand. Only 2 spells in the yard.
If that's the case, then yeah, flow state.
I'll cast Flow State.
Yeah.
I'm gonna respond.
Oh,
Ooh.
Spell start.
spell
Yeah.
snare it.
That's a good one.
Are we going to fight?
I'm gonna
Fight?
respond
Spell
to
Pierce,
that,
maybe?
And I'll cast Opt.
Okay.
Opt in response, digging for spell.
Perhaps
pierce?
digging for a spell pierce. I think
was
that was
just-
another
it
flow
was
state.
another flow
It's
state.
like, all right, this is fine.
That's easy too. Okay, but January wins that counter fight.
Yeah. But a lot of prowess triggers here. Or at least 2 prowess triggers, right? Yeah, flow state and opt.
4 spells,
4
2
spells.
Hearth
Cool,
Elementals.
Yeah. The important thing is are the number of spells, right? So just want to keep eating those away. I suppose
now
at some point, once it doesn't matter, you can just start
uh,
eating creatures and then
the-
sack the Ghost Vacuum.
And get your
Right.
get your
Now, 3
long-term
spells, 3
value.
Hearth Elementals.
Yeah.
2 Hearth Elementals.
Yes. Enter.
Traumatic Critique, a
1 mana.
nice addition here to various Is It shells. It's, I mean, just kind of coming into this event, even prior to Secrets of Strixhaven, Is It was considered one of the best things to do, and it just got even more toys to play with. Now you have access to Prismari Charm and Traumatic Critique if you want.
Now we've seen a lot of flow state.
Yeah, in January now, main phasing that crab. Doesn't want to run it into counter magic. As you can see, Dai actually has a get out in hand. So
Also
Head-
untapped is nice.
right, heads up play, and untapped is also quite nice because you can just block the otter token there.
January's down to 13 life. Dai has walked the tightrope here of having the disruptive element of Ghost Vacuum plus a few counters, but 1 threat.
Yeah, so the damage
some
isn't really
card
coming
draw.
in
Yeah.
Cards in hand.
too hard, but got that flow state, which is going to be excellent here.
XL unopt.
We're doing it main phase here.
Untap.
Oh,
And yeah, the
all
crab
right.
did a good job of blocking.
Yeah, but no, doesn't actually run out the flow state here. Wants to set up for crab first,
Ah,
right? Get that in play. Attack step, I have an effect. Oh, and here
Get
January has the get out here. So this crab can crunch in for 5 if January wants.
yeah, she's had kind of just the right counters at just the right times.
Go.
Spell snare and to get out wins both of those counter battles.
Absolutely. Now Dai's gonna try to restock here with that flow state. Did find his own Prismari charm.
Flow state.
Only 2 spell snares, I believe, in the 75 here for January.
So this one's going to resolve.
This is a lot of action here.
Jeez,
Is that a
3 spells.
stock up, get out, and a crab?
Crab, it looks like.
Yeah.
Jeez. So assuming you want the crab,
And he already has a get out, so I assume he's just going to go stock up crab.
it's so hard to pass a stock up, right?
Oh, looks like he is.
Oh, it just leads to so much
Yep.
more action. It is a
Right.
little on the expensive side for this hand, though.
Just kind of wants to play that
yeah, that's fair.
instant speed game here.
XL get out.
Exile. Get out, says Die.
And attack for 2.
Got a little bit of a fight here. Nobody's quite been able to
And go.
Yeah. January
push it
just,
over the top.
January did not have another crab there.
Combat.
Okay, got a little bit of a race situation. Now remember, Dai does have that extra crab. Does January have an answer?
Enter.
You'd think so.
It runs it out end of turn, doesn't even do it during
Oh, and it
combat.
resolves.
Okay, so this is big. Multiple get outs. You can even use the get outs to save your creatures too, which is very, very strong. You can just pick up 2 things that you have. So being able to pick up a Storm Chaser talent and your
XL
crab to
spell
removal
save.
spell is very, very good.
Acts as a counter spell with
Right.
a little extra bonus. And we're going to see sleight of hand now from Die.
Gives you a prowess trigger here. Probably not.
There's a
Oh,
crab.
it's another crab.
Combat.
And January might be a little flooded here. 7 damage coming in, going down to 4. And Dai has access to 2 get outs in hand, so it's not like January can just flash in another crab here and try to close things out.
It looks like she doesn't have it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, now what?
Combat.
Still getting in? Oh, man. 2 mana crab. Get out?
Yes,
Hey.
there's the response from January.
Okay. Now, Dai also has a Prismari charm, which you can use to bounce permanents if you feel like you're going to
Beginning
die.
Combat, I'm thinking. You can go. Pass the turn.
Yeah, because Dai is representing a lethal attack here, so can't really attack if you have no follow-ups in your hand.
Right. January pumping the brakes here, leaving the crab back.
I will XL get out.
Get out goes away.
You can attack with both and just say you're happy with the trade.
Very charm on this.
Oh, you're going
Oh,
to
the
bounce
Prismari
that and then
charm
counter it on the way back
bounced?
down. Yeah, that certainly works.
I mean, do you even need to counter it? Does he have lethal here?
Right, well, January is a... Okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
going to do it. That is going to be Xiangjun Dai picking up the victory to improve to 3-2.
It feels like after sideboard, I imagine Sunderflux may get boarded out here. So it just feels like after sideboard, both it's very close to a mirror, actually.
Yeah, it actually, those look heavily overlapped
Right.
board.
Yeah, you just saw a bunch of get outs, Storm Chaser's talents, and some card draw. Maybe playing slightly different card draw spells here, but very similar cards regardless here. But yeah, Dai kind of sequencing things out really, really well and just continued to get the action going, recognizing what the important cards were. It was just like, all I care about are crabs and get outs. I don't need stock up.
Yeah.
I just need to counter your crabs and be able to have more crabs of my own.
And everything else is just kind of filling in the gaps
Right.
between those 2 cards. Well, that's going to do it for this round of coverage. We're going to take a short break here from Las Vegas. When we come back, though, we're going to be gearing up for even more Standard at the news desk. Don't go anywhere.